to Chiefs Kingdom, and here talking NBA on this Monday, January 29th. We're all in the Taylor Swift box, celebrating a big Chiefs win, AP. You're the man, Chiefs lifelong fan. I never doubted him for one single moment. How you feeling on this Monday afternoon?
Feeling good. Great games yesterday. Obviously, the Chiefs came through, got it done. And I'm not going to lie, this background's messing with me a little bit. Can't even see Taylor right there. I mean, man. Yeah, Chiefs back in it, back in the Super Bowl. Not the pretty, I thought about it. The only way you can, define their season is classic slow roll. I mean, they just find it. Even in the second half, I thought they could have absolutely stomped them when they were aggressive, Baltimore just couldn't stop him. I mean, Mahomes was efficient. He did it in a dirty way, though. And I just, I'm not surprised that San Fran came out as the favorites. I'm going to be back in the Chiefs. I think I love this matchup again. And Mahomes as a dog, free money. Free money.
It certainly seems that way. What is it, 10-3 now in the playoffs as an underdog? Something like that. Getting the job done time and time again. It does feel
I had to take mine off. I had to take mine off. It was messing with me.
Yeah. Oh, good. We're down to two Taylor Swift boxes here. Mangone, I know you're not the Chiefs lifer that me and AP are. So yeah, what are your thoughts there? Just a standard Monday for me. Getting owned by Mark Cuban on Twitter. Yeah, I just can't stop taking L's over here, Mangone. How you doing on this Monday?
Yeah, no, I'm not a Chiefs guy, but I am a Taylor Swift guy, and I'm hanging out with my BFF. And I will say I did not bet against the Chiefs this past weekend. I did not I wasn't Snyder and putting money down on the Ravens, but I did say hey, this is a rule, right? If Pat Mahomes is an underdog, then what should you do? You should bet on Pat Mahomes for the next 15 years and just collect your money. But here we are. Pat Mahomes is a favorite an underdog this week, right? And I don't know. I don't see myself racing to the window, right? So I've also been on the Niners.
Well, he's not an underdog, right? Chiefs are underdogs again.
Yeah, they're dogs. That's what I'm saying, right? They're dogs again. Yeah,
I
so I'm
thought
saying
you said they were favorites here. Oh, okay.
I think I almost said it, or maybe I did by accident. But the point I'm getting at is, hey, if you're on that theory, here's your chance to bet it, and good luck. Good luck betting against the Niners. I am on Bang Bang Niner Gang. I have been there since October. I mean, I've been there for a while, but I've been there since October for sure, right? That's when I have the ticket where I purchased it. So, I'm rooting on the Niners, I think, DC. And one thing I do love to do, I always love to make a bet for the next 2 weeks. You get to place bets on the Niners, and you get to pair them with maybe the Celtics money line tonight, right? Then you got all these tickets in the chamber ready to go for the next 2 weeks, which is a really fun time to be able to sweat that on. So I'm excited to start placing some bets over the next 2 weeks on some Niners along with some NBA bets. So it should be a fun couple weeks.
Yeah, it's funny because the Super Bowl is the biggest donkey betting event of all time. But I do actually think that presents a lot of opportunity for smart bettors, right? Opening up new accounts, chasing bonuses. And I mean, let's be honest. I don't toot our own horn that often here on this show, but our bets team has been absolutely killing it. And AP, they're going to have a lot of plus EV bets for the Super Bowl, right? From guys like JBC, Statsational, of course, our flagship guys, Big T, everybody, a ton of money to be made on the Super Bowl. You just kind of got to go pick it up, right? A little bit at a time. So yeah. It's an exciting time of year to be a bettor, a daily fantasy sports player. I know obviously you guys are both of those things. And
so I'm curious though for you guys. Actually, DC, let's talk about this, and then I'll go into what I was going to ask. But what do you need to happen? And what are we talking with the NFFC championship?
Yeah, so it was mentioned a couple times on Twitter today, and then I did see some people wishing good luck, and I did talk about it, I think, on Friday with JT. Were you there, P? I think you might have been too.
Yeah.
So I still do retain the lead. It's a 2,000-person tournament. I have a single bullet, 150K to first. I'm currently winning by 7 points, and the second place guy is 6.8 points behind me. The third place guy is 27 points behind me. So I think 95% of the time it comes down to the two of us. 150K to first, 25K to second. So even more top heavy than even your top heaviest DFS tournament.
What do you need? Like what's the
essentially comes down to I have Pacheco on 4 times multiplier because I had him from the opening week of the playoffs. He has Kelsey. All our other players are the same, just a little bit different multipliers. So I really think it's like essentially a dead heat between the two of us, 50-50. And honestly, if Kelsey hadn't gone off in that game, if he had gone like 7 for 70 and a touchdown, probably have it more or less locked up at this point. But it is what it is. I had Zay Flowers who came up through the big touchdown, so I'm not going to complain about being first. But a big sweat there. AP, I know you had the big Saturday takedown in NBA, right? 15K. I think you chopped first place. Is that right?
Yeah, it was a good Saturday for the early slate. We had a rare opportunity where I feel like people were a little asleep at the wheel, and obviously Joel Embiid got ruled out 3 minutes before that game locked. Created a nice little swap opportunity that we were talking about in Discord. I mean, you literally had to be by your computer, which I was. So, I mean, it is what it is. It happens. It was nice to get those opportunities. So, yeah, it was a lot of fun. And we got a big slate tonight. My question, though, on the betting side, I swear I read somewhere, I don't know who I was talking to, but the sharp side is going to be the 49ers. And I don't understand. Like, I was so surprised that the 49ers were favorites. They're 2-point favorites when the line opened. And I don't get it, man. I don't get it at all. It's so impressive what Mahomes is doing. I don't understand it.
I've talked about this before, but sometimes you have to like try to zoom out from the future. And it's like, really, Brock Purdy is a favorite in the Super Bowl over Patrick Mahomes after I feel like the Chiefs and Mahomes just did the much harder task going on the road to Baltimore, who I think was the best team in the NFL, a legit 2-time MVP winner in Lamar Jackson, right? And you hold him to 10 points, you win that game. Now you got to take on Brock Purdy, who has looked shaky as fuck, honestly, the last couple of weeks, hasn't got it done in the playoffs. I mean, listen, we're all human. Like, you got to imagine this is just a moment for him that, like, he's going to make some mistakes. On the other side of the ball, you got arguably the best quarterback of all time. I don't get why the Chiefs are underdogs. In this one, I know Mangone's going to tell us otherwise. Why? Because the Sim says so. He ran the simulation a million times and came up with the 49ers 58% of the time. Go ahead, Mangone.
I need you to stop disrespecting Brock Purdy, okay? Or I'm going to own you like Mark Cuban. I'm going to do it right now. You said he was shaky as fuck. Here's the thing he did, DC. I got the stats right here. The second half last night, Brock Purdy threw for 150 yards, rushed for 45 yards, completed 80%.
How many yards did he throw for? 150?
Stop talking. This is my turn, okay? He completed 80% of his passes, averaged 10 or more yards per rush, had 0 turnovers. No NFL quarterback has done that in the last 30 years in a single half. Not even your boy Pat Mahomes. So stop disrespecting Purdy. Pat Mahomes is great. He's better than Purdy. He's arguably going to go down as one of the best. But Brock Purdy is not a clown game manager. If you're going to talk about game managers, go talk about Trent Dilfer. Stop putting Brock Purdy in that conversation. Just stop. He's not a game manager. You're wrong.
All right. Well, besides on the Mangone DMs for some Chiefs money during the week.
I mean, Mangone, did you not see what this Chiefs defense did to the MVP of this year? Oh, I mean, he looked like it was insane. Spagnuolo put on an absolute clinic with how he coached over the last 2 games against the Bills and then against the Ravens. Oh man, I can't wait to see what he does against Brock Purdy. I can't wait.
I don't disagree with you. I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm just saying let's have an isolated conversation about Brock Purdy. He's not a game manager. He's not. He's better than that. It's just the truth. I know DC disagrees with that. He still thinks he's a game manager. I mean, he's just not.
He is a fucking game manager. He's the definition
of a not a game manager. You're wrong. He's not a game manager.
I love it.
This is an egregious take.
No, it's
He's not a game manager.
How can a true take be the egregious take?
it's so egregious. This dude's not how have you not? So if he wins the Super Bowl, what are you going to say? He's still a game manager? You're just always going to say it.
Yeah,
it's going to be 10 years from now. You're going to call him a game manager.
I'll never give in because he's got all the weapons and the best coach. So yeah, no, I don't think. Brock.
And like, here's the thing, though. You can't sit here and tell me he's got all the weapons he's got the best coach, and then you're going to tell me the Chiefs should be a favorite. Then that's all contradictory, right? If that's your
because Mahomes is that much better than Purdy.
That's your take. I saw your eyes, AP. But if that's DC's take, then you can't make him the favorite.
What? Who's the best coach?
DC said he's got the best coach and he's got the best players.
Oh,
so then the Niners should be a favorite.
I feel like we're all like, we're all tricked. We're all tricked into and I question this, and I don't know if it's PFF or whoever does these stupid little grades or whatever, but like they were saying that the Chiefs were not going to be able to move the ball. Like, let's take the second half away. I mean, Mahomes was still highly efficient. They didn't stay aggressive. But, like, the Chiefs' defense is the best defense in the NFL. Better than the 49ers' defense.
Yes.
Like, way better, in my opinion. And they got the best quarterback. And, it's going to be another great opportunity to make some cheese. And we all know what side I'm on. That's all I'm saying.
The key is who's going to win the line of scrimmage, right? That was one thing that I noticed early. First of all, you could tell in the Ravens-Chiefs game early on that the Ravens couldn't do shit. Like, they were just owned. And it was just true. The line of scrimmage is going to be what's key. When you watch that Super Bowl game, it's whoever wins the line of scrimmage is going to win that game. Is the pocket going to be clean enough? Because honestly, the Lions won the line of scrimmage in the first half. They did not win it in the second half. The second half, they got owned back. And that's why Purdy was having troubles, because the pocket wasn't as clean. And that's going to be the key. And to be fair, the Chiefs are really good at that. And the other thing the Chiefs are really good at is they're good at just sticking on players and making it so no one's open. But the beauty of this game is the Niners have legit playmakers. So who's going to win that battle? I mean, that's going to be a fun one to watch too, because that Chiefs defense is really good.
I missed this. I've literally been we've been in like Mangone, you too. We've been planning meetings, trying to elevate the product here, and then it's doing NBA content at the same time. So I haven't even been on Twitter in like hours. What did I miss? So, you're going back and forth. Oh my, Phil said. And then slate is easy. We're gonna get to the slate. The slate is easy. But DC, what's going on?
Before we do that, DC, Layla, you can just leave. So peace out. We're emotional talking about football. See you later, Layla. We don't need to talk to you.
Hit the like though before you leave. Yeah, thank you.
Hit the like on the way out, Layla. But that's it. So
I do love when people just criticize a completely free show. It's like, you can do literally anything you want in the whole world, like other than watch the show. But so the Mark Cuban thing, he tweeted, AP, I've got a little bit of time. Ask me anything. AMA. Now, listen, some people may disagree. I personally think if you post ask me anything, AMA, on a public forum, anything goes, right? Because you're literally saying, ask me anything. So I said, yes. Do you feel guilty for wasting Lucas Prime? Fair question, I think. I mean, the Mavs haven't done shit with one of the best players of all time on for the first few years, at least on a rookie deal. And I also asked him, how often does CSU Ram text you? Because I know CSU Ram, is very, very quick to mention that he has Mark Cuban's phone number. He responded to both. He said to CSU Ram, he said, he can text me whenever he wants, which, I mean, shout out to Ram. You got the open line to Mark Cuban. You got to listen, we got to give props for that one. And he did eventually respond to the Luka one too. He said, Luka's getting better. He's just getting started. His prime isn't wasted. And I had to fold the chair. AP. I said, Mr. Cuban, you've won me over with kindness, with an honest responses to both of my questions. Good luck going forward. I guess that's why you're a billionaire and why I just registered the $5 single entry leaderboard on DraftKings.
Love it. That's great.
All right. That's the whole story.
I enjoyed the interaction when I saw it. I was like, that's a fun classic DC comment. And
when you get owned, you got to acknowledge that you got owned and you got to crawl back into your little mom's basement cave. All right. That's 20 minutes on absolutely nothing. Let's get to the slate. 11 games. Probably shouldn't have wasted all that time, but here we are. We got the first game of the night. New York Knicks, Charlotte Hornets. Knicks favored by 9.5, 221 total. big injury news here. Obviously, Julius Randle. Is this his first game missed of the season, AP? I think it may be. If not, he hasn't missed many. He's been out there every night. We do have potential news on Charlotte, too. LaMelo Ball, questionable. Hayward's still out. Lowry not going to play. I mean, we start off the slate, I think, with one of the teams that you have to take a very, very close look at for, in my opinion, multiple pieces. The New York Knicks missing Julius Randle, who, like, there are different levels of players missing, right? Some players, like, elevate their team. Like we see with Halliburton, right? When he's out, it's not necessarily the bump you see to everybody because he makes the offense go. I don't see Julius Randle as one of those players. He's a guy who can score in isolation, scores driving to the basket. Oftentimes, nobody gets an assist. A little bit of a lazy defender, in my opinion. So I think his minutes and usage really do get added to the rest of the Knicks. You got to look at the New York Knicks here. AP, talk to me. Knicks and Charlotte Hornets.
Yeah, so I think that was what the games on Saturday. They had that big slate, broke it up in many different ways. He got hurt towards the end of the game. He's going to be out for quite some time. A couple things here. The slate said that I love this slate. We're going to have a Memphis situation that's going to be very, very interesting and provide for a lot of value, and you're going to be able to get whatever you want. When I think about the Knicks. And Thibs, like, we get a tight rotation. He's going to play his guys. And when I think about how this roster is constructed with Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle, two guys that need the ball in their hands. They're high usage guys. They're always getting touches when they're on offense. And now when you think of Randle, plays a lot of minutes, those touches and minutes are now going to go elsewhere. And add in that Thibs likes a tight rotation. So Brunson, I think, is really intriguing. I love that his price is up a little bit too, 9,300. I'm not showing a lot of. We obviously have the Memphis situation that's going to be interesting. It creates a few really interesting paths. I think Brunson is going a little overlooked. I think it's going to be more on his shoulders. They should get the win here. I would almost elevate him too if LaMelo is in. Obviously, keep an eye on LaMelo, and just because from a pace standpoint, there's going to be more opportunities in this game. But the other thing is what do we do? Josh Hart. Do I really want to put like Josh Hart, not like a high usage guy, very good at rebounds, assists. He grades out fine, but he's going to be chalk. He just has to be. And we have other chalk that we're going to talk about too. Same with OG and then Dante DiVincenzo. They're all priced in this range to where they could be just fine, but they could also tank your lineups too. Like, a chalky Josh Hart, would I be surprised if he finished with like 24, 25 DK points, something like that? I wouldn't. And you're going to want more than that at his price and position on this slate. I'm just telling you right now. Quentin Grimes is the guy that's been really intriguing. He's looked really good, especially coming off the bench. So he would be the value that I would have some interest in. But again, we're going to have a lot of value with Memphis later on. So again, for me, it's I think Brunson. I think Brunson is going to, go overlooked. He's the highest priced guy. People are going to look at the DiVincenzos, the Josh Harts, the OGs. I like Brunson here, man. I think Brunson is the guy that puts the team on his back. He's the guy with the highest ceiling now in this lineup, and I think the ball is just going to be in his hands a lot more now.
I'm 100% with you, AP. I think, this isn't like a numbers thing, but there are certain times when it's like, okay, the team's leader, which is Brunson anyway, he's looking at this game, right? And he's going to do everything he can to make sure the Knicks win this game. Brunson is a winner, first and foremost. You take Randle off the court, and, like, I think people are going to try to figure out where the usage and minutes go between Hart, DiVincenzo. I do like Grimes, too, because he's so cheap. OG Anunoby. But I think it's Brunson that will, and I just think he's going to pick up the scoring load, Mangone. I know, like, the numbers at 9,300 don't put Brunson as an amazing play, but I'm with AP, man. I think Brunson is going to do some serious work in this game, especially in this matchup. Honestly, I kind of like his alternate points overs, right? Like to score 40 plus, something like that. I think he puts the team on his back in this game. I don't think the Charlotte Hornets will be able to stop him. your thoughts, Mangone, on Nixon and the Hornets.
Yeah, one thing to get slightly worried about is like, man, like this Hornets team is really not good right now, right? And like obviously you could see the score being like 85 to like.
That's what I'm saying.
55.
Brunson's gonna lead this team to a win, and he's gonna have to put up a huge game to do so. Like he seems so safe.
I think Brunson's a really good, safe option. But also, to be fair, I think a lot of us are going to want to play Luka tonight, right? And like Luka's a pretty expensive option. And sure, we have the value to play both. But
I have to play him after that. After that exchange with Mark Cuban, do I got to put Luka in my lineup, right?
Of course, yeah, definitely have to after that. Also, I think like these Nets. I mean, these Knicks options are fine, right? Like the DiVincenzo's, the Harts, but when you do compare them to other values, I do like some of the other values a little bit more, especially at the Memphis side, which we'll get to. I do think Quentin Grimes, I agree with that. Like he could obviously get more run. I don't know if a Miles McBride will. I know the last time he got slid into the starting lineup randomly, he absolutely crushed. But yeah, I don't know.
That was when Brunson was out though. So
yeah, I think he was out, and that's going to.
I did want to address that question as well, Megan, because I have the same take as you do. McBride has been strictly Brunson's backup when Brunson has been in the lineup, and I don't see the Randall injury changing that personally.
Okay, yeah, I think it was Brunson was out and Randall was still in. That's why I was trying to think it through because the usage and everything. But
he's a straight point guard. He takes Brunson's place, but nothing more, in my opinion.
Cool. Okay, perfect. But overall, I think DiVincenzo and Hart are fine, but like AP said, I do think you're going to have some big scores. And I do worry a little bit about those guys' floors compared to some of these other options that we're going to get to, right? I do, though, think that it's a really good idea, though, to play, what's it called? Jalen Brunson. But there's a lot of studs on this slate for sure.
No question about it. Yeah, William, you are definitely welcome taking down the 20K. Man, I gotta say, you guys are the people behind the scenes much more than me. But the ads that we have had to the Run Pure Sports team over the last 6 months or so have been crazy good. So, yeah, love the product that we're giving to the table. Obviously, here on the free show, but also have the premium stuff, the bets picks. Man, I've been betting hockey and golf and shit that I never bet in my whole life because we got winners on every DFS, betting, whatever it is you want to do, we've got it over at Run Pure Sports. Awesome.
I mean, we got more coming too. I mean, Mangone, Rubio, these guys have been putting in a lot of work behind the scenes. And we don't see that. A lot of people don't see that. So shout out to them, really putting in the work, and it's going to pay a lot of dividends here soon.
Absolutely, and I don't say it lightly. I mean, I'm not one here that's just retweeting every single thing that Run Pure Sports says, but when I recognize a real quality improvement to the product, which we do have, happy to shout it out. So awesome stuff from all you guys behind the scenes at Run Pure Sports. We got one other game in the 7 p.m. Eastern time window. It is the Clippers and the Cleveland Cavaliers. Clippers favored by 1.5 in this one, 225 total. Darius Garland remains out for this one. He should be back soon. And then Mobley is questionable. Not sure if he will return. I would kind of imagine so if they're willing to list him as questionable after a long layoff, right? That usually means they kind of went through the shoot around. They're feeling good. And it's just a matter of, okay, warming up before the game. Are you good to go? Did anything, tweak or feel worse? Likely answer to that is no. I would guess Mobley is in there tonight, AP, which changes things, obviously, for the Cavs. We've seen a crazy run from Jared Allen. Honestly, I didn't take as much advantage of that run as I should have. He's been incredible. But I would imagine the return of Mobley, even on limited minutes, would have a hindrance on Jared Allen's fantasy production. But Clippers, Cleveland, really fun, real-life game. I think two very good teams. I'm not sure DFS-wise, though, with guys back and high prices. What are you thinking on this one, Clippers and Cleveland?
Yeah, so it's a big slate, and we're going to get to each game. But I'll be honest, I'm very under. I'll probably fade this game entirely, prioritize. I want to see a couple things. One of it is I want to see the Memphis starting lineup. That's going to be huge tonight. And so I don't with Mobley likely back, that does hit Allen. And so we have Wemby, we have multiple centers, Santi Aldama, David Roddy, all center eligible, power forward as well. I do not want to waste any center power forward spots in this early window. I want to prioritize the 8 Eastern window. So that's just, if one of these guys goes off and kills me, it is what it is. But I'll be under / fading this game.
I'm off this game, Mangone. I don't really see many scenarios where I get here. It gets slightly more interesting if Mobley misses. What are your thoughts here, Travis?
Yeah, I'm not super excited for this one. Obviously, Mobley back muddies things up, even if it's limited enough. So I'm not dying to get to the Cleveland side of the ball. The Clippers side of the ball, I mean, it's kind of an injury news slate where there's just so many injury news stuff that you kind of want to lean into that. And sure, there's other spots that you might not play some of these injury guys, but I think the Clippers isn't one of those, right? I don't see anyone that I'm excited about. We're not starving for value, right? If we were, we'd consider a Plumlee or a Tice maybe, but I just think this game's kind of an overall fade for me.
I'm with you there. Last note I would say, that Clippers team, man, Harden, Paul George, Kawhi, they are playing some good ball. So pay close attention to the other two when any of those guys sit. I think it's just kind of a money printer in that situation. But not the case tonight. We're mostly off of Clippers and the Cleveland Cavaliers. We'll move to the next game of the night, Pelicans and the Boston Celtics. Boston favored by 9, and this one at home, 236 total. Big news here is on the Boston side. Cornette is doubtful, and then Porzingis and Al Horford are questionable to play. That's their 3 centers. I mean, those 3 guys have played, 98, 99% of the minutes at center for this Boston team on the year. So I would assume that not all 3 are out, but you never know, AP. Obviously something to at least, plan for if one or both of those guys misses, Horford or Porzingis, because it could change things obviously in a big way for Boston. Don't love the New Orleans side of this game with everybody healthy. Talk to me, AP, Pelicans and Celtics.
Yeah, I think what it does do, obviously we're still waiting for this news, but with the facts that we know right now is, Jason Tatum is 9,200, would obviously benefit mainly from a Porzingis being out, a little bit more shot usage to go around for a guy like Jason Tatum. 9,200. I mean, this is, again, how it's setting up for me is I'm going to be jamming in a lot of these, what we'll call elite values that we're going to talk about here shortly. And I want to mix and match these studs. And I feel that's the best path on slates like this one. It just comes down to getting that, absolute nut combination right. And Jason Tatum should be fully someone that you're looking at, especially at 9,200. And especially if Porzingis and Al Horford gets ruled out. If it does go the way of all of them that are questionable or doubtful, if they all miss, and then it becomes somewhat interesting. You have Brissett, you have Niehaus Keita. Is that I forget? We were talking about him a few weeks back, or maybe it was a month back when the Celtics had a lot of injuries going on. But again, for me, it's Tatum. This team is going to, basically build everything around him, around Jaylen Brown. And it should be, this should be a pretty good game. Pelicans should, coming in relatively, healthy, they should be able to keep this somewhat close. Obviously, Boston is just, they're a juggernaut, man. And the spread, especially when they're at home, is indicative of that. But for me, keeping it simple, it's Tatum. And I'm not playing anyone on the Pelicans side coming in healthy here. There's going to be so many other better plays. So it's probably Tatum or pass for me.
Yeah, it does feel like a slate, Mangone, where you're going to have to not necessarily search for value, but search for which value to eliminate, right? With the Memphis situation, we just got LaMelo Ball out. I think given that we just talked about that game, maybe we can go back there right now. Talk to us about Boston and Pelicans, and then we'll revisit as a trio the Charlotte situation, because I think really relevant news there with LaMelo out. But first, Mangone, talk to us Pelicans and Boston Celtics.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously it's hard to break down Boston without the news, right? But obviously we would be interested in Niehaus Keita at 3.6K if those guys are out. Another thing to note, I saw some information on this. We're on Twitter enough where we kind of catch some nuggets here and there. And one thing I caught is just how good this Boston team played this second unit when they were getting blown out. Guys like Niehaus, right? And I don't know, they might give him a little bit more work because of that. They were definitely very impressed with how some of these guys played. And I think Niehaus could be really interesting, but I don't know who's in and out, right? That's going to be important. If those guys are out, those are bumps to Derek White and Drew Holiday, right? At 6.7K, you can make an argument that, and we've talked about this with the algorithm right now, some of these 6K guys have insane ceilings right now, especially if you are missing a Porzingis and a Horford. So both of those guys would be really interesting plays if those guys are out. When it comes to the Pelican side of the ball, I'm not really dying to get to too many options here. I mean, they're just a healthier team, tough spot to get to. So I'll shift right back to Charlotte. And I think I can be pretty quick on the Charlotte side of the ball just because, I mean, I don't think this is like a true, like they're only playing 8 guys scenario. I mean, they've been playing 9. They're also including Leaky Black in there and JT Thor. They ran a bit of a tighter rotation, I think, against Utah, but I believe the game before that, and I'm double checking. I'm trying to pull up popcorn because I think it's important. I just will mention they did play, obviously, McGowan's, Mensah, Bouknight. They played them the final 6:45. The issue with the Charlotte Hornets is this isn't really a true 8-man rotation type of situation where if there's a blowout, some of these guys are still playing. Like, you do have to worry about, there is the downside of if the game does blow out. I don't love to predict the blowouts, but I like to add it into the equation that you won't get the full run from a Miles Bridges, right? So some of the expensive guys, you get a little more nervous about their floors because of that. Now, if you get the full run from a Miles Bridges, yeah, it's pretty good. But if you don't get that full run, that's a little more concerning. Brandon Miller at 6'5". I know you guys will touch upon him. You've been pretty spot on with him. I know his minutes were still good the other night, but he got into some foul trouble. But maybe it could be a bounce back spot for someone like him. I think it's a really strong spot for someone like an Ish Smith at 4.3K. But the debate you're going to have is it worth playing Ish Smith when we have all these other value plays to discuss? But I think he's clearly in the conversation. He's a good fantasy point per minute producer. He's going to be someone that's going to be a starting point guard at 4.3K. He's going to play that 30 minutes or so. So, yeah, I think he's in the conversation. But I personally get a little nervous about the expensive guys in these spots because I understand that if they don't get that last rotation, they could just be in trouble, right? And this is a really good slate where it's a stars and scrubs slate. And if you miss on your star, you're not going to cash. So that is something I think a little bit about when kind of just making some decisions.
Yeah, I hear you on all that, Mangone. There's something you can say, AP, that will take me off of Ish Smith. I'm playing him. He'll be in my core. He'll be in, if not every lineup I make, most of them. I mean, looking at the numbers that he ran with LaMelo off the court, primary point guard, can have the ball in his hands constantly, 4,300, probably going to play 30-plus minutes. He didn't make a single – did he score a point? No, 0 points in his last game.
Yeah, the opportunity, the
put
assist
up 24
opportunities were
points,
insane.
0 actual points. I mean, and he's got a decent individual matchup himself, right? Like, you're going to see OG from the Knicks on Miles Bridges, I assume. I think they'll stick with Jalen Brunson on Ish Smith, which, I mean, yeah. Tell me if you disagree, but I don't see fading Ish Smith here myself.
No, I mean, this is definitely more of an interesting game now, especially in tournaments. I mean, just look at, all right, when you think about Utah Jazz last time they played, obviously the same situation except for Frank Ntilikina was out. But we saw really tight rotation from the Hornets. Colin Sexton dropped 50. He put up 54 DK points, 35 minutes, 29% usage rate. That's what I'm talking about when I talk about the role now or the situation Jalen Brunson is also going to be in. So don't forget about the other side of this game, especially Jalen Brunson. I'm with you there on Ish Smith. Grades out now as a really fine play. And just note how tight the rotation was. Miles Bridges over 40 minutes.
Real quick, AP, I don't mean to cut you off, but I think this is worthy of doing so. Underdog says Hornets will start Miller, Martin, Bridges, Washington, and Richards. No Ish in the starting lineup, which seems
that's
very...
I mean that's pretty telling. I don't think we say that one more time.
It's point Brandon
Underdog
Miller.
tweeted, which
So here's how they closed. It was Brandon Miller, Nick Richards, Cody Martin, Bridges, and PJ Washington. Those guys basically played. They played almost the entire fourth quarter. Like, so
I mean, how do you not play Brandon Miller if he's starting at point guard?
I mean, Brandon Miller played almost the whole entire second half. So, I mean, I think Brandon Miller is now, again, coming off a terrible game, nice flop leg spot for him. But I'm just showing you, or telling you what this rotation that we saw last game was really, really nice for fantasy. But on paper, I mean, we know how the Knicks play. So it's for me, it's going to be a really nice tournament spot. Like Jalen Brunson, even Miles Bridges, I'm more interested in. PJ Washington, I gave all of these guys a slight upgrade.
I mean, Mangone, any thoughts on that Hornets?
I mean, you can't be as excited to play Ish Smith now, right?
Well, obviously not, because
No.
Mangone, I've seen these situations. We've been playing DFS a long time. I've seen these situations when there's like a kind of like a shot. I know it's just the Charlotte Hornets NBA game in January, but I would still say this is kind of a shocking starting lineup. I thought I would have played -1,000 that Ish Smith would start this game. The fact that he's not, it does make me wonder, like, maybe he gets a DNP. You know what I mean? Like, we've seen these situations before. It's like, oh, they're available, but they're going to come off the bench, and they just never check in because the coach didn't report the proper news, right? Have you seen these? Like, you've seen these.
Yeah, I mean, they have Frank Ntilikina too, right? And, like, I'm not saying Frank Ntilikina should play over Ish Smith, but he could play over Ish Smith, right? Like, he could. The Cody Martin stuff, I would say one thing I noticed with someone like Cody Martin, like,
I'm in on Martin here. But at this price point, I mean, starting with no Ish, come on.
The one thing I will argue with Cody Martin is his minutes have been pretty bad, right? Like, so he played 19 minutes with Ball in that Houston game. I think it's because he was coming back from an injury. The Utah game, he played 29 minutes, which isn't bad, but like, I just don't know if you're going to see like the 40-minute Cody Martin. I could be wrong. I know he was coming back from an injury, so I don't know if they were babying him because of that. But I just need to think about his minutes a little bit, because I do think there is a chance that like Cody Martin's minutes aren't as great as you might think. That's the one thing I'd be slightly worried
about. I get that, not thinking he's going to play 40, but like if he does play 40, you better damn well have Cody Martin in your lineup at 4,400, because he's absolutely getting there. If he gets,
of course,
40.
But there's great Memphis options in that range too, who we'll get to as well. That like that's one of the reasons why. Also, one other thing to note I want to mention is I was kind of nervous about PJ Washington going into this spot right now, because he was coming off the bench, and if he comes off the bench, he doesn't. If it's a blowout, you lose that entire run and just get destroyed. With him starting, it's a lot more of a different role for him, and the minutes are going to be way more secure. So at 6,500, you can make more of a case for his upside, and I think his upside is even better with him starting as well. So it's another thing to kind of note here for sure.
Yeah, a lot of moving parts. I know we are way behind schedule. I'll take credit or blame for that, I guess. Utah and Brooklyn, we'll talk about next. We got 30 minutes to get through these games. AP, better talk fast. Utah favored by 1, 236 total. News for Brooklyn: De'Aaron Sharp, Dorian Finney-Smith are out. Ben Simmons back in. He had the same injury I had when I broke my back, by the way. So I can't. I totally understand the Ben Simmons thing. It's not something you can play through. Anyway, Utah, Brooklyn. Utah should be fully healthy for this one. Brooklyn, obviously, with some moving pieces. Talk to us, AP. Utah and Brooklyn Nets.
Another like really, really intriguing and interesting rotation, especially on the Nets side. This was the game I was kind of sweating, mainly Dorian Finney-Smith. I was on the right side of a injury situation. Doesn't happen often, I'll tell you. I've had many where they've gone the other way.
We nail them all the time on this show.
No. I'm saying like Dorian Finney-Smith, I needed to fade him on my swaps after the game started. Yeah, and he was he had like 41 DK points through 3 quarters.
Gotcha.
And we saw an extremely tight rotation. Cam Thomas, 41 minutes. Nick Claxton, 37. Bridges, 40. Dorian Finney-Smith, 30. Was basically playing the entire game, though. And then it was Royce O'Neal who came in and played. So I think this is really important. Royce O'Neal played when Finney-Smith went down. He played the entire rest of the third quarter and then the whole fourth quarter. So can we trust it? It's the Nets. I don't know, but man, that rotation is really nice. So I think there's pieces here that you really want to keep an eye on and consider from this Nets team. My favorite's Cam Thomas. The guy's just an absolute baller. You can play him now. What?
You don't think Ben Simmons' insertion into the rotation throws a wrench into that at all?
Oh, I mean, yeah, I guess you're right. That could, but he should be on some. What? This is again why I want to prioritize some of these starting lineups too. But I mean, what do you think? Like Ben Simmons is going to play big minutes. I mean, what, 15, 20?
I guess 20. Yeah, I mean.
But I don't, with what I saw, Cam Thomas, 40. I mean, he led the team in minutes, him and
I mean, to be fair, Ben Simmons never shoots and Cam Thomas does. So,
yeah, the guy I'm far more concerned about, and I've been concerned about for a while, Spencer Dinwiddie. I mean, it just seems like he's getting outplayed by some of the other backcourt here. And then with the emergence now of Ben Simmons being back, yeah, it could take some of the playmaking out of Spencer Dinwiddie's hand too. Like when you think of Cam Thomas, he can create his own shots. He can do. I don't think that's going to take anything away from him.
He's like the opposite player that Ben Simmons is. So
yeah,
I mean,
I just think Ben Simmons maybe factors into the backcourt rotation. I guess we'll wait and see. But again, the matchup against the Jazz is really good. So again, this is going to be a nice spot. Like I think you're going to want to consider pieces here. I guess the pieces that we feel most confident in probably has to be one, Mikal Bridges. And then, I mean, I guess I should, dial it back a little bit on Cam Thomas. Just with now how deep that backcourt's getting. I don't know. But Mikal Bridges, solid play here. I always like Cam Johnson, 5,100. I think he's going to be – I love the matchup for him, shooter. But again, power forward, small forward, this is a position that's absolutely loaded on this slate. But I will say I think you're going to want to have some exposure to the Nets side here.
Yeah, that makes sense. BG3 asks, who does Ben Simmons take minutes from? Honestly, Mangone, I think it's a little bit from everybody, right? Because he's like a jack of all trades, master of none type of player, right? A good defender. You can get out in transition. You can defend the 1 through 5. Can't obviously shoot worth a lick. But if he's playing well, he's going to kind of just take over. I think a little bit from everybody, but I would say to AB's point, who's on obviously Cam Thomas, that's the player who's least likely to take minutes from, right? A pure scorer, which Ben Simmons, for all that he is, obviously not that. Go ahead, man, going on this game.
Yeah, Ben Simmons, he does a lot of things, but he doesn't do a lot of them well. But he's going to take away from guys, right? It's hard to know who, right? Like he could easily take away from Nick Claxton if they went small ball lineups at the 5.
That's what I'm saying. It could kind of be anybody, but I don't think it will be a scorer primarily.
I agree. So I'm not super excited about these Nets options. I mean, I don't mind some, right? I don't mind Cam Thomas. I think the Royce O'Neal thing is fine. But like these aren't guys that are just like jumping off the page, right? They're not like guaranteed locks or anything like that. They're okay plays. But yeah, I think it could be more of a muddier situation. I also was surprised to see it's like such a close spread. I think Utah wins this game. I did a little parlay Niners in the Utah Jazz to kick off my bets. So, I know DC, you think they're just going to lose outright because of the Niners, but that's what I got so far. So I like the Jazz though. I think it's a really good spot.
The first leg doesn't matter. You're losing either way, so you're good.
Yeah, that's exactly what's happening. So I put that in though. I liked it a lot. So overall though, this isn't a game to get super excited about. Like Utah Jazz, I'm not that excited about because again, they spread things out and there's just really good plays on this slate. And again, I think it's mainly looking at Cam Thomas, Nick Claxton, and like Royce O'Neal. But I'll admit the Ben Simmons stuff, like that makes me more nervous where I don't think you want to say, hey, I know where the Ben Simmons minutes are going. I would just be a little more cautious with the Nets overall because of that Ben Simmons stuff.
Yeah, that's Utah, Brooklyn. Real quick, we are going to go back to Boston because we did just get news. Porzingis, Cornette, both going to miss. Al Horford is in AP. What does this do for you with Boston now that we got clarity on that news?
I mean, I don't think it changes too much for me. I do have more interest in Jason Tatum as a spin-up stud. I'm not going to go to Horford. I would rather play Santi Aldama, like David, save some money, play the David Roddy, Santi Aldama that we're going to Gigi Jackson to. So yeah, I'm not going to waver from Al Horford.
Mango, we know you're the Al Horford guy. Any interest in the old man tonight?
No, not today. At 5'9", I don't think it's too necessary. If Keto is somehow starting at 3'6", I don't think he will. I would maybe have interest, but I don't think he's going to. It's mainly having interest in Derek White and Drew Holiday, just because, again, I think at their prices, they have really nice ceilings that you can't completely ignore.
Yeah, seeing Mobley in, going to play 20 to 22 minutes, looks like. I don't think Mobley is in play, but he certainly does, I think, take away some of the appeal, not all of it, from Cleveland, but that's not one of the better games of the day anyway. I think Cleveland, mostly a team to avoid tonight. All right, we'll keep it moving. The other 7:30 game, 5:30 here in Mountain Time, Phoenix and Miami. Miami favored by 2.5, 230 total in this one. Big injury news we're waiting on is Yusuf Nurkic, who is questionable to play. We'll throw it right to you, AP. Phoenix Suns, Miami Heat. What do you got for us?
Yeah, I mean, I watched that game that Devin Booker had. He could not miss against Indiana. 9,800 though, and the Suns fully healthy. I'm going to keep this short and sweet. This is not a game that I have a ton of interest in. I left Jimmy Butler in my player pool. I like what I saw from Jimmy last game, but that game was in the Garden, nationally televised in the middle of the day on ABC. I mean, Jimmy shows up for those games. A game here now against the Suns. I don't know. I mean, I could see him showing up, but again, it's one of those plays where 5-7% of Jimmy is enough for me. Outside of that, I'm full fade in this game.
Makes sense. Mango, and your thoughts here? Phoenix Suns, Miami Heat.
Yeah, it's not a game I'm super excited about. I don't mind. Again, I don't mind Tyler Hero's price at 6-7. I think there's upside there, but with some of that news we just got, I'd probably rather shift that to Derek White instead. So, yeah, I think overall this is going to be a full fade for me. It's just, again, it's a news slate, right? And this is just a spot where there's no real news.
All right. That brings us to, I think the game of the night, Sacramento, Memphis Grizzlies. Kings favored by 10 on the road here, 223 total. Nothing too crazy about either of those numbers, but the Memphis injury situation is pretty crazy. Sacramento side looks like a normal go. Looks like everybody's healthy. Memphis, though, I think you're missing Marcus Smart, John Morant, Derrick Rose, John Conchar, Luke Kennard, Zaire Williams, Desmond Bane, maybe Vince Williams, Jake LaRavia, rather, Steven Adams, Brandon Clark. I know those guys haven't played all year. But, man, AP, this roster is decimated at the moment. It's the NBA is a spot where you still have to, they're still going to put up, 80 points at the absolute minimum, probably 90, 100 points. It's not like, if you send a high school baseball lineup up against Garrett Cole, no one's going to get any hits and they're all going to score 0. You could say the same thing for NFL. NBA is different, right? These guys still are going to put up fantasy points. They're all so cheap. Someone's got to put those points in the basket. Talk to us about Memphis.
Yeah, and honestly, the last time that we saw this was against the Heat, and they went into Miami and beat them. And so sometimes in situations like this one, these guys step up and they play. And DFS-wise, you're going to get a really concentrated rotation. But, yeah, I was texting with my Memphis buddy, Jay Douglas, and he's been spot on with this news. So shout-out to him. He thinks, pretty confident that Vince Williams more so unlikely to play tonight. if he dresses, and if he dresses and is active but not in the starting lineup, definitely do not play him. They would do that basically to make sure that they have 8 guys active so that they can play this game. I think that's huge news. And I think it's supported even further with them upgrading or bringing Matthew Hurt up from the G League too he signed a 10-day contract. So I think what we're going to get is really tight rotation for the Memphis Grizzlies here in a matchup against the Kings that play with a lot of pace. I think this is a spot you want to prioritize. So just a few other notes. Absolute Santi Aldama, David Roddy, going to be absolute staples tonight. Same with Gigi Jackson. I like Scottie Pippen Jr. over Jacob Gilyard. We've seen Gilyard play. God, he's probably going to start. I don't care. I'm going to play Scottie Pippen Jr.
What's the word our friend Big T would use? Cheeks?
Cheeks, yeah, cheeks. Yeah. And yeah, this is going to be like you. So it's how many is too many. And the rule that I'm setting is 4 max from any one team. But the only team that I'm allowing 4 max from, and this is in multi-entry formats, is the Grizzlies. And I'm going to mix and match all of these guys basically with the studs and different, elite plays on this slate. So for me, really easy spot. Love like Santi Aldama, absolutely going to smash. Gigi Jackson. I want to see what the starting lineup is though too. If Gilyard starts, I prefer that situation because I think it's like we've seen it now. He's obviously people are going to play him. Maybe it takes a little bit of ownership off of Scottie Pippen, but I absolutely like Scottie Pippen over him. Am I fading Gilyard? No, I'm not fading him, but I will be underweight relative to where I think the field will be at. So Grizzlies, obviously a spot that I'm going to prioritize on the slate, and I think we all need to. Don't forget about the other side of this game. I think that's what usually happens. I mean, the thing is, when I look back to that game, defensively, they definitely weren't as good. And so think about De'Aaron Fox, Sabonis. These guys, if the game stays close, these guys get forgotten about, and they could absolutely smash. So a full game stack is not out of the question here.
AP, you mentioned the max amount of Grizzlies you want to play. I think you said it at 4. Is that right?
That's what I'm tinkering with right now. I think in large field contests.
You don't need to commit to anything right now, but that's your kind of your hunt going in. What about minimum amount of Grizzlies?
3? I don't know. I mean, Mangone, what's your thoughts on that? I think it's 3 to 4.
I think between 2 and 4 Grizzlies is the right move, but Mangone, your thoughts?
I would put the number at 2 just because there's a lot of other good values on the slate too. It's not like there's like no values, and like I don't know. I think sometimes we think that we know it's for sure going to happen, and we just have to be a little more lenient with it, in my opinion. Like it's uncomfortable to play 2, but I think there are teams with 2 that are not crazy. I would lean 2 to 4. I'm like
you're saying at least 2, Mangone. That's your minimum.
Yeah, I think
so?
2 is the minimum. Yeah. I think 1 would be hard, but I think you need more. You need a lot more value to open up, right? The key is like the value opening up. I think that would be the reasoning to maybe get there. But
yeah. I mean, that's meant for Sacramento. I will say, guys, if you're watching this show, listen, AP has a goddamn insider on the Grizzlies team giving you the key information night after night, nailing this shit. We're here for free on YouTube.
He's been spot on. He's like 7 for 7 now, going 8 for 8. So I think his take was that his people told him that Vince Williams more likely closer to doubtful than questionable. And if he suits up and is not in the starting lineup,
you've delivered the goods the time and time again on this information. And a free show here on YouTube. All we ask is a goddamn like.
And we're talking about all these elite plays, and then we get the question, and we're Harrison Barnes. What do we do? I will say on Harrison Barnes, have you guys seen what he's been doing lately? I have been looking at him, but I'm like, do I really want to play Harrison freaking Barnes? I mean, I don't know.
I played him reluctantly on like one showdown slate, and he won me like 4K. So I got a soft spot for Harrison Barnes, but I don't think I've played him since anyway. Even he's been duking. Mangone, your quick thoughts here, or long if they need be, on Sacramento and Memphis.
Yeah, and hit the like for our lost soldier, Layla and Snyder and the Soldiers after they fell. So hit the like, please. But Yeah, let's go on over to Memphis. Obviously a great spot. You're going to like Scottie Pippen Jr. I know you guys said he was cheeks. And listen, he was cheeks with the Lakers, but to be fair, he was playing with his teammate, Malik Beasley, who was clapping his mom's cheeks. So maybe a change of scenery is going to be nice for our guy, Scottie Pippen. It's a good spot, right?
Isn't he like clapping like Jordan's ex-wife cheeks or something though?
No, now he's clapping, or sorry, Larsa Pippen's she's getting her cheeks clapped by Michael Jordan's son.
I had it inversed.
Yes, but there's a lot going on with Larsa Pippen. But I do think you're going to want to like these Memphis guys, especially the cheap options, right? The Gigi Jacksons, the David Roddies. Like Jaren Jackson Jr. is fine at 8.1K, but like to be fair, if the blowout is happening, and not saying it's going to, but like if it is, he's not going to be one of those guys closing. But there's also some of these options, they have the ability to close if it's a close game and if it's a blowout, right? And that's obviously really nice. So I do think I like the cheaper Grizzly options a little bit more. I do think that the way I would kind of rank them right now, I would say Scottie Pippen 1. I'd probably put starters are going to be important. I'd probably put David Roddy 2 just because of the versatility of the positions he can play on the court. And I think he closes in like blowout and as a starter. Probably put Aldama 3, maybe Gigi Jackson 4. I do think Gilliard's not bad, but it depends if guys are in and out, right? We don't really have all that information yet. So, yeah, that's part of the issue with making these decisions right now. And then on the flip side of the Sacramento Kings, I agree with all the points AP said. Just depends if you want to use your salary in that way. Do you want to use it on a De'Aaron Fox or a Sabonis? I know Harrison Barnes has been crushing. I have missed the Harrison Barnes boat, and I am not jumping on now. I will let other people jump on that train.
All right, that is the game for Sacramento, Memphis. 5 more games to talk about. Sorry, guys, way delaying the show, but we'll try to keep it moving. Washington, San Antonio Spurs. I think another interesting game here. AP Wembanyama. Man, I mean, we don't have time, but dude is just crazy good for how young he is and the talent there. Putting up 50 points every night. Minutes on the rise. Got to 30 minutes for the first time in a game in couple months. Now he gets the Wizards. I think the best matchup in all of basketball centers against the Wizards. You got to look at Wembanyama. We obviously saw the coaching change with Washington. Good matchup for them too. Interesting game here, Spurs and Wizards.
Yeah, so I think the Spurs side really easy. I mean, Wembanyama trending up now. I think he hits 30 minutes tonight. He's been really close to that.
Right? He's got any soul.
Yeah, I think he's like a core play for me for sure. Someone I want to be. He's like a lock for like 50, like a night in night out. Last 55 games, 50. And hasn't even hit over 29 minutes. He's putting 50 up. Now gets a matchup against the Wizards. I love him. Positional eligibility as well. I got to keep my comments short because obviously we got other games to talk about, but we got close to this rotational change. I thought we were going to see the DNP from DeLon Wright. It did not happen, but it's close with the new interim coach. He's doing what I would love to see him do, which is you sub Jordan Poole out early and then you bring him back in to run the second unit. That's what we saw last game. No foul trouble, nothing like that. But then, of course, DeLon Wright came back in, played his 4 or 5 minutes in the second half or second quarter. So, yeah, a little unfortunate, but you get brother versus brother, Tyus Jones versus Trey Jones as well. Good matchup for Devin Vassell. So I think these are guys outside of Wemby, kind of a core play. I want to be overweight, but I think you filter in some of these other plays, secondary plays in your tournament lineups. Devin Vassell, Tyus Jones on the other side. He's been balling out. And then Kuzma has been the guy carrying the offensive load for the Wizards. But really, it's Victor Wembanyama for me in this game.
All right, let's go to you, Mangone. What do you got for us in Spurs and Wizards?
Yeah, I'm going to be really quick. Wembanyama, great play, core play. Want to be overweight on him. Love him in this spot. The minutes have been really good. They've been gotten better, and Pop talked about that ever since he's talked about it. Hey, it's been good, and it's a great matchup against the Wizards, so I love Wemby. After that, Kyle Kuzma, solid guy you can mix in as a contrarian option, but that's it for me. I'm fading everyone else in this game.
Yeah, I think Tyus Jones might be the all-time NBA assist-to-turnover leader. Don't quote me on that, but I think that something like that is true, which is just crazy for a guy getting benched regularly on one of the worst teams in the league. What more can you want from a point guard? I'll stand for my ties to the bitter end, AP. But next, we'll talk about Minnesota and OKC. Really fun basketball game here. Yeah, as a Wolves fan, I'll throw it out there. Potential conference finals matchup between these two teams. OKC favored by 2.5 in this one, 224 total. Mike Conley still questionable. He's missed a bunch of games recently. Everybody else should be in there in this one. Awesome game. Maybe not so much for DFS. Talk to us, AP, OKC in Minnesota.
Yeah, I found myself under on this game. Well, we saw these teams recently recently play. I think both of these teams kind of understand the situation at hand. You see a little bit more defense, not as much, free flowing basketball. And but I don't remove on a slate like this where we have all this elite value. I'm not Xing out Shea. I'm not Xing out Anthony Edwards. I keep the studs in my lineups to filter them in, basically. So that's where I'm at with this game.
Makes sense. Mangone, do you put in any stock into? I do personally, where the people that say, "Oh, NBA players don't play any defense," that's ridiculous. But when you know a game like this where both teams are going to come out and play their best defense, right? Like competing for the number one spot in the Western Conference, good defensive teams. I mean, like whether or not they can slow the other team down, they will be trying at least to play defense. That means something to me. I don't know. Maybe the total's baked into that already. Talk to us, Mangone, OKC, Minnesota.
It doesn't mean nothing. I think one thing it means is listen, if the game is, I could see tighter minutes from guys like Ant Edwards and Shea Gilgeous-Alexander.
That's a good call. For sure, that's true. The stars play more in games like this.
Yeah, I think that's tighter minutes, and that could be baked into the projections you're looking at. It could not be, but hey, just adjust for it if you believe in that, or don't adjust for it, right? It's something to think about for sure. Problem is a lot of these guys are pricey and expensive, and again, on this slate, I'm not dying to get to a lot of them. I think very easy, Ant Edwards and Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. In these games too, do you see the stars kind of show out, right? These are the games that you kind of lean on, the guys that are the best players on the team. It's doubtful they're going to run the offense through Rudy Gobert tonight, right? If there's a matchup that makes sense, against a bad team, yeah, they might do that a little bit. But Ant Edwards is going to be him. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander is going to be him. Those are the main guys I'm looking at. I know Naz Reid was popping earlier. I don't think Naz Reid is as good as a play now.
Is it just me, or is it SGA has I feel like he has, among all the stars, the lowest band of fantasy scores. It's between 50 and 65 every single game, where you get Luka, right? Sometimes shit goes wrong and he puts up 44, but he can get to 100. SGA just never gets there. Any thoughts on that, Travis?
Yeah, I do get a little.
We're going to be crunched for time.
I know. I get a little worried about that, but again, I think it's just simple. We have a lot of value. If you want to mix in a good contrarian stud, these are two options you can consider. I'm not mixing in Cat and Gobert. I'm mixing in the two guys that are just, they're him, right? They're Ant Edwards, they're Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, and they're going to show out and be the guys.
Listen, AP, we got two shows. The other show is on a different channel. We can run them both simultaneously if we need to.
I'll multitask. I got my content update, prioritizing the members, the people that actually help us to bring the content. That's where the focus is at.
I'll speed it along. Lakers and Houston Rockets coming up next. Lakers favored by 1, 232 total. Anthony Davis, LeBron James, questionable for this game. I think both guys are going to play. We'll see. No other thoughts. Got to move it along. AP, take it away.
I mean, how about that game? Oh, that was just insane. But again, it comes down to the studs here. You got to love the tighter rotation that we're seeing from the Lakers. AD, the positional flexibility too. He's one of those studs, keeping your player pool, mix and match with his value. And then on the other side, I mean, is Dylan Brooks going to he's going to be staring down LeBron. We know that's coming. We know the history.
I played Dylan Brooks for the first time all season, and he played against Charlotte, 25 minutes, put up 16 fantasy points. Very hurtful, AP. I can't go back to him.
But overall, I find myself under on this game outside of Anthony Davis. I think he's the guy I like. But D'Angelo Russell, 7K, I can't get there. Even now, Austin Reeves is a little thin. I mean, he's fine if I get there. The plays that you just do not want to play, like Tieran Prince, I don't want to play him at all. 4K, much better value in the Memphis game.
Mangone, you got 30 seconds. Go.
30 seconds.
I did forget about this. So we're actually, if we go over, we're probably fine.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Come on.
Yeah.
My bad.
For as long as you want, Mangone. Go ahead.
Yeah, we're on. I assume we're on
Just on your
Lakers.
dating life as well.
I got nothing to update you on that. But Lakers, Houston, LeBron and AD, obviously like studs that you can play. I mean, they're probably going to be in, but they always have that stupid questionable tag. That's how it kind of works. I mean, I think some of these mid-tier plays, like I always kind of like Jabari Smith's upside at the price, right? At 5.8K, he has a really nice ceiling, but we know what his downside can be, and it can be a bit rough. But I think in MME formats, you want to have exposure to him. I mean, FEV feels cheap at 7.5. The problem is, like, I don't know, I'd rather just get the Brunson and some of these other options that we've talked about. So I think this game is more of a fade. Maybe D'Angelo Russell at 7K. He has been really good, and I do believe in just playing him until he gets traded. I think it's not a bad idea to just be on him right now until he gets traded at the deadline here, or maybe they keep him. We'll have to see how it shakes out. But I think 7K D'Angelo Russell is not the craziest idea if you're going with that mid-tier construction and chasing some of those upside plays. Like I talked about, Derek White at 6'7". He has the ability to get 55 DK points, and if someone at 6'7" does that, that's amazing, right? Same with the D'Angelo Russell. He has the ability to get 55 DK points, and if he does that, you're just going to need him to win, right? And some of these mid-tier guys, their ceiling just can't be ignored at their price tags.
All right, that's Lakers and the Houston Rockets. Orlando, Dallas up next. In this game, we have Dallas favored by 4.5, 227 total. We do expect Kyrie Irving to miss this game, potentially alongside Derek Jones Jr. and Dante Exum. Obviously, another huge spot for Mr. Luka Doncic and AP. Listen, I never get Luka right. I don't know if I can fade him on the night that the day that Mark Cuban owned my ass on Twitter. I think I have to ride with Mr. Doncic, but give us the actual analysis other than mine just, trying to avoid getting owned twice analysis. Go ahead, AP.
Yeah, I mean, we always talk about a matchup against Orlando, slower pace, more of a defensive team, but Luka Doncic matchup proof. We've talked about the pricing, especially with the studs, and we've seen that pricing come down. That's the same with Luka. It looks like it's gone back up a little bit, but no Kyrie. I mean, this dude, the usage rate, his assist rate, the potential for a triple double here. Just absolute smash play. So I have him as someone that I want to try to prioritize. And it sets up well, like a Luka Wemby plus that value that we talked about. I mean, that is the type of build that I could really get behind, tonight. And we're going to have the same discussion too with Jokic here coming up. So for me in this game, it's basically all Luka. I do think it's a little interesting that Markelle Fultz was out. So now we're not going to have – I still don't trust the Orlando rotation, but maybe Cole Anthony, Jalen Suggs a little bit more in play since, they don't have that standard three-man backcourt rotation there. I don't know if I can get on Franz Wagner or Paulo in this spot either. Maybe like a sprinkle, and that's it.
Yeah, Mango. I mean, I know the pace is slower here for Luka, but like one man can only do so much, right? Like when you're doing everything on every possession, does a slower pace game really hurt you? Like, you could argue it gives you a little more time to rest on each possession. I just don't think when you're talking about a player like Luka with the usage rate that he has, a slow pace of a game, I talk about this with Jokic too, I don't think it matters. Like their limiting factor is like their own fatigue. And a slow paced game helps that a little bit. So maybe a crazy take. I'll stand by it. Go ahead, Mangone. Orlando, Dallas.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it matters to me that much. It's Luka. Like he's just, he's expensive. The question with Luka is, do I have the value to play him? Yes or no? Yes, I do. Today I have the value to play Luka. So I have the value. It's a really good spot. Luka's a great play. I think Luka and like Wemby are like two of the best studs on the slate. I think Luka is, just such a good play. So I'm in on Luka. definitely want to be playing him for sure here. The other options, I mean, it just depends who's in and out, right? A lot of these guys are questionable. You can make a case for some of these options. I know Grant Williams dropped 50 the other night. Not expecting another 50-point Grant Williams game, but I just think there are some Dallas plays that could pop up that could get overlooked, right? We just don't know the injury news. That's why I need to be in a Discord chat. That's why it's important to kind of stay on top of everything NBA-wise. And then the Orlando side of the ball, I will admit, Wendell Carter Jr. is someone I've been on, and he's had some success. Probably the wrong slate to do it, but yeah, I think he's someone that's been pretty good. 6'3" is getting expensive, so I probably can't get there. And this team's a little more healthy. So on this slate, I'm probably not super excited about Orlando options.
All right, that's Orlando Dallas, last game of the night. Only going to be a couple minutes late. Sorry to the bosses. Milwaukee, Denver. Denver favored by 4 at home here, 238.5 total. Should be pretty much healthy teams on both sides of the ball. Premier game here. I'll admit I didn't know this game was coming, AP, but yeah, maybe I'll go check out. I don't go downtown Denver very often, but Mangone, you want to meet me there for a little Giannis versus Joker action? Could be a fun game. We'll start with you, AP. We'll let Mangone get his finances together and maybe meet me at the game. Go ahead, AP, Milwaukee and Denver.
Yeah, so obviously, Nuggets just played. Joel Embiid, dodged the game. Obviously, Jamal Murray went off. This matchup for opposing backcourts is awesome too. So 8,300 for Jamal Murray. For me, he becomes an intriguing tournament play if you're multi.
I never play him, AP. I never played Murray.
Yeah. Well, no, and I'm with you, but he's looked good. He's obviously taken from Jokic a little bit too, but when they get that two-man game going, which I think we see tonight, you can make the case for both of them. But 11-3 for Jokic, and I'm not seeing when you look at Wemby's ownership, it's insane. And then Jokic, 11, this is a spot I want to get very overweight on Jokic tonight. I think he's just going to smash. Obviously, I know, the risk there, Giannis likes to barrel into the lane and get people into foul trouble. Not worried about it, though. I think he shows up, puts up a big number.
He doesn't even take the fouls. He just, all right, go score.
Yeah, yeah. So, and then Giannis, too, 11-4. So I think this is a game where, again, you want the studs. We already know the value. Don't overcomplicate this. I think people make it too hard. And if you're only running 1 to 3, then the question, in my opinion, is lock in that value and then figure out what studs you want to prioritize. So Jokic, again, out of all the studs, him and Luka are the two that I definitely have at the top of the list.
Great advice from AP as always. We try to give it to you 5 days a week here on the free YouTube show. We appreciate you guys watching. Hit the like, please. Hit the subscribe, all that good stuff. Not a given that this show will be here forever, but we will be more likely if you guys do that good stuff for us. Mangone, Milwaukee, Denver, really fun game. Are you able to afford the $100 tickets, and are you going to beat me at this game tonight?
Yeah, I've gathered my finances. If you want to go them down, we just have to we just have to find the right ticket. That's all. They are there's some okay seats, but if you sit upper level, it's not worth it. So you got to get to the lower level. We have to find a good one.
Look at the Mangone money. I got to sit in the nosebleeds.
No, the nosebleeds are. I don't want to sit in the nosebleeds. Those nosebleeds are. I want a good seat. If I go to a game, I want it to be decent. I'll say that. I don't want to sit all the way up top. But yeah, it's. I would go if you want, but if I go, I need to make sure I have an entry reserve for a game stack, right? For a little Giannis and Jokic action, of course. Giannis isn't a coward like Joel Embiid, right? He'll play in the game. He won't sit out last second. But yeah, I think overall though, this is definitely a game that it's just play the studs if you want, right? I think Jamal Murray at 8-3, it's a really good spot for him. We talk about guards against Damian Lillard. I think it's a really good Jamal Murray spot. So he's probably one of my favorite plays in this game. Love Jokic. Think he can absolutely dominate, and Giannis, like any slate. Just a matter if we get the value, and we do. So if you want to use that as a contrarian play, go ahead and use it as one. And I think these are some really good pivots off of Luka if you want to go that way. And I'll also look to see, with all the value we have, maybe there's routes where I can play Luka, fade the Wemby's and those mid-tier, not mid-tier, but the tier 2 studs, and go a Luka Giannis or a Luka Jokic route and see what that gets me, because there are some really good constructions you can get when you do that.
100%. That's all 11 games, only a few minutes late. And we appreciate you guys tuning in. As always, If you're a sports fan, a DFS fan, a gambling fan, and you want to become a winning DFS fan, gambling fan, sign up. Run Beer Sports. We got every sport covered: betting, DFS, otherwise, winners in every sport. It really is the place if you want to turn your game around. Head to runbeersports.com. Get in there. We're not going to do it for you, but all the tools are there for you to do it yourself. We'll be back same time, same place tomorrow. For AP, for Mangone, I am Draft Cheat, and we're out of here.